What is up, guys? This is Jake, and welcome back to another edition of the Warcry Games podcast. We are up to episode number 5 now. Joining me today, we got Brandon returning.
Yo, what up?
What up, man? Got John over here. How you doing?
Hey, so I have Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" stuck in my head.
There we go.
Sorry, I thought I'd like to share that.
Christmas spirit.
And
That's right.
Darren is returning to join us. What up, man?
What's up?
Okay. So the usual, what I want to do here is the same thing I want to continue doing is give us a rundown of the topics we're going to be going over for this podcast. First up, we're going to start things off talking about what games we've been playing this week. Then we're going to move on to the best bit, where we go over the best of something in a video game. Following that, we're going to be covering gaming news for this week, which has been a ton between the Nindies Direct, Sony State of Play. This week we had the Game Awards for 2019. And then we're going to finish up with the Warcry, where we introduce a topic that's designed to spark a debate between the four of us. And again, like usual, we're going to have links to the talking points down in the discussion below, so you can check it out. And let us start off with what games we're all playing. And let's start with you, John. What have you been playing this week, man?
Wait, so the thing is that we have to say something different if it's a game that we've been playing currently, right?
Just something new,
okay.
Something that brings a breath of fresh air to the same time.
So, everything that I've said on this show thus far about Death Stranding with regard to combat and the lack of it, and it's such a quote-unquote
Here we go.
interesting experience without the combat, I was wrong.
Wow.
Chapter 4, well, actually, should I spoil it? Minor spoilers. Chapter 4 and onwards, you're going to see combat. Major combat.
Whoa.
And it reminds you that this game was made by Hideo Kojima, because the way that he did the combat basically is lifted from Metal Gear Solid 5, like the feel of it. So now
So
there
it's
are
good?
assault.
So it's good combat?
Yeah,
You like it?
It's well, I wouldn't say it's good combat. It's still not the focus. It's still not the focus, but it's nice that I can shoot guys in the face now. So I can fabricate assault rifles, grenades, you know it. And
It only took
Hot
50
fix
hours to get
in
there, though.
Death Stranding.
right, exactly. So here's the thing about combat. So I guess Hideo Kojima is a super pacifist. He doesn't want people to kill other people in the game. I mean, this goes back in history with Metal Gear Solid and whatnot. You have completely non-lethal weapons. Like B-Ray knows about it, right?
I know, dude. Non-lethal
completely
rounds.
non-lethal weapons. So
Fertilizers.
Piss
if you
bombs.
do kill people in this game, so a premise of this game is that when somebody dies, they turn into BT, which are the main ghost baddies in the game, and it could be very bad if you don't incinerate the body in time. So if you kill somebody, you have to incinerate their corpse at the nearest incinerator within a set amount of time, or else it triggers a game over. And this incinerator isn't exactly around the corner either. So the other, yesterday, I assaulted a camp, and took out a bunch of terrorists there and whatnot. Now I had 7 dead bodies, and I'm like, oh shit. So I had to steal one of their trucks and hoof it to the nearest incinerator. I had barely an ounce of battery left in the truck before I made it in. I mean, it was kind of a rush, but yeah, it's annoying. But you can see how. And then and then later on, I was able to manufacture rubber bullets for my assault rifles.
So there's a ways around.
There's a ways around. You can
Just don't-
attack, yeah. Right. You don't have to kill people, but
Right.
if you really wanted to do it, you can do it. You just have to, they'll just make you jump through extra hoops.
Is that what you think he wants you to do, is to not kill them?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Probably.
That's what he's been kind of leading towards this since the Metal Gear Solid days too. Like you can totally non-lethally kill all the bosses in most of the Metal Gear Solid games and whatnot. So I could tell. So that's that. Just running really quick. Typical COD shit. Season is running fine. I saw a waifu gun that I was tempted to buy, but I didn't.
A waifu gun?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
God, dude.
They have a.
Do I want to know?
There's a gun called the Odin that has a skin for sale for 800 COD bucks, which is like what is that, Jake? Is that like $9?
It's gotta be something like that. I'm gonna go buy it though.
It only gets you 3 things. It gets you a little charm that you get to hang on your gun of basically a waifu. Another charm, I think, or a sticker of like an octopus, and a skin for the Oden gun that is basically like, an anime girl waifu, and then the word senpai on there. And the name of the pack, I think, is called like Notice Me.
Oh wow!
People would pay for anything, dude.
Did you get that? Did you get that watch?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't get the watch.
Died.
So I was totally tempted to spend real money to get a waifu gun, but I didn't.
Proud of you. Good job resisting,
thank
John.
You. Yes, it took a while. So that's that. Let's see, Astral Chain and Deus Ex Machina. I didn't really play a lot of Deus Ex Machina. Astral Chain, I played a little bit more. So I feel like it's weird. Like I don't know. Maybe listeners can relate because they've watched Jake's stream, but sometimes it's a bit of a rush, at the same time frustrating to juggle your Legion while
dude.
fighting
it takes
enemies.
a while to get used to.
Right. I was trying to control my Legion and try to wrap around. One of the mechanics is you have to wrap around the enemies, wrap the chain around the enemies and whatnot. It's really cool and exhilarating, but at the same time, I have like 5 other guys shooting me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh.
Eventually, you can wrap around all of them, and it's like no problem. Like you get used to it, but early on, it's so janky when you have like one thumbstick is controlling your body, you moving around.
Right.
You hold left trigger or whatever, and the other thumbstick is controlling a Legion. So you're trying to, your brain's trying to do 2 things at the same time.
Yeah,
and,
that's exactly what I was talking about. You're trying to do like a million things at the same time, and I'm like, someone in their 20s would probably be able to do this, but me, no. But anyway, that's what. Yeah, I know, right? That's what I've been playing. That's all that I've been playing. So.
Nice, man. Yeah. But what about you, Darren? What you been playing this week? Or
not a lot's
maybe?
changed. No, I actually haven't picked up Pokemon since I last talked about it. I got my shinies in it. I just kind of stopped playing.
He's got those shinies.
Got what you needed, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's endgame right there.
Yeah. Still playing Mario Odyssey. I think I'm like at 450 moons right now. So like I'm towards the very end of the game. So
not moon-wise.
Not moon-wise. Oh, I know. I know the game opens up.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
So like I saw a video of somebody that had like a Mario 64 themed skin or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like is that unlocked after you get all the moons, or how does that work?
I have no idea.
It gets unlocked.
You can unlock it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all the moons, but you can definitely unlock it.
They have that for everything. There's a ton of different costumes.
Really
That's like
cool
the big
post-game
thing
skins.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And during,
I
mean, you unlock some like during the game that are kind of cool. But yeah, after, more open up. I'm not even
My
able to
favorite
afford some of
combo
them.
is the Space Cowboy, where you're wearing a spacesuit and a cowboy hat.
Nice.
Just throwing that out there.
I like the royal one. Like I'm like a king or whatever, and then I don't remember what I use for the head, but I like the king suit.
I don't know. I guess I'm a classic guy. I like the samurai outfit because Mario just looks badass.
Yeah,
I rocked that for a while.
Really well done. Yeah.
John, did you beat the game? How far did you get, or did you beat it, or?
As I got the last, I'm like right before Bowser. Like literally at his castle.
Dude,
like,
go
right
finish
up-
it. You're like right there.
Beat that
That's
game.
where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
I know.
That's exactly
Well, I
where I'm
mean,
at right now.
Aiden.
Cool ending cinematic.
My son, like when we play Odyssey, we play together. So it's
fair
dependent
enough.
upon his mood. If he says, "Daddy,
Family
I
time.
want to play Odyssey,"
Yeah.
Got it.
Daddy,
Fair
I want to
enough.
play Odyssey. Let's play Odyssey. Most of the time, we play Mario Kart. So if any of you
It's a good
guys
choice.
think you're good at Mario Kart, I'm ready to throw down.
Dude, Brandon will accept that challenge.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was
I
like, hey,
will
I'm pretty
too.
good. I can play Mario 64. And I played against him and got rocked on
No,
Mario Kart 8
dude.
Deluxe.
I had a buddy in college who was like top times in Mario Kart, like
No shit, wow.
globally, and he was like, "Yeah, here's how you play the game." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
So you learned a thing or two.
Yeah.
What else have you been playing,
Nice.
Darren? Anything else, or just really mainly Mario Odyssey this week?
Just Mario Odyssey. I really want to get through it because there's a lot of other games that I would like to play, just because I've been behind the curve. So.
Hey man, play what you
probably-
want to play when you want to play.
Yeah, probably next week I'll have a new game I'm playing because I'm I'm still gonna go for the 999, but I think I'm gonna do what you did, Jake, and like once I beat the game, like I'll go back to it every now and then and get moons that I haven't gotten just for the replayability.
That way it doesn't feel like a chore, you know. I mean, unless you're like Brandon, you're just gonna soldier through because you love it.
I do have OCD, but I don't. The older I've gotten, the less prone I am to like just wanting to get it all done in one sitting. But
Welcome to the old man club.
Welcome
to the old man club.
It definitely does feel weird not getting all the moons in each world, like, because normally I would. It's just I want to like. There's so many other games I need to play. I don't want to be stuck in one game for a long time. So.
For me, if it's a game I love, I just want to spend more time in that world. So that's why I got 100% of Breath of the Wild. I loved Odyssey. So just like mastering those mechanics and just like spending more time around those levels, any excuse I could get, I was there.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got this week for games I've been playing.
What about you, Brandon?
Yep.
So I got 2. I played and beat Halo Reach from the Master Chief Collection on PC.
Oh yeah.
This is an interesting one because I've actually never owned a Halo game. Wasn't an Xbox kid. I played a lot of Halo multiplayer growing up, but I didn't own an Xbox. So this is actually the first time I've beaten a Halo campaign. So it was really, really cool. Have you guys all played Halo Reach?
Not Reach.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
I've done like 3 others.
So, all right, I will spoil some stuff because you guys have played it. I was very impressed with the pacing of the campaign. I think the way that they introduce, here's a space combat section, here's a turret section, here's you're flying in the ship and you can do the controls and you're hopping off the ship, you're hopping back on the ship, and the way they the plot, the way they space out the character deaths was really impactful. I thought, especially what was the female? Forgot her name, but it was like so sudden when she just she gets a bullet in her helmet, like oh shit, she was like mid sentence when that happens, and they really ramp up the plot to be like this is a dire situation. Like I don't know a lot about the Halo universe, and so I'm excited to learn more as the new games come out for the Master Chief Collection on PC. But the Halo Reach to me was a really good entryway because it really set the tone and set the stakes. Like, hey, Reach got messed up. The invading armies came and basically decimated these people, and you really see that throughout the campaign as people are going down. And that's no more apparent than that final mission where it literally drops you off. Everyone is dead. Objective survive, and you just sit there and try to survive as long as you can. And I think that's a really interesting way to, that could have been a cutscene, just like, oh, your player character died, but they really put you in control and really make you feel like the futility of the situation. So really well done campaign. And obviously, like I said, I've played the multiplayer before. The one thing I gotta say about Halo multiplayer is it's just stupid fun. Stupid fun.
It's kind of the point.
Go and you just play the social games, and it's like, I have like one-hit kills, or I have headshots only. Got zombie mode. I'm like driving vehicles. I got 3 people in this car. Like we're flying all over the place. There's one of the modes where everyone had jetpacks and rocket launchers by default, infinite ammo, and I'm just like, what is this game, dude? It's just stupid fun.
Have you been teabagged yet?
Probably, dude. I'm sure.
You haven't been playing if you haven't been teabagged.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I would say Halo Reach is probably one of my favorite Halo games besides Halo 1. But,
really?
Reach is a really good. It's a really good game.
Wait,
there was mixed opinions on like how the game ended, but like that's
really,
if you know the lore. Yeah, some people they didn't like how it ended like that. But the thing is
it
that's
didn't have Master Chief in it.
That's how
I wanted my Master Chief.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm coming from a completely new perspective. So, like, to me, this is adding weight to the eventual Master Chief saga. And like, I know who Cortana is, so I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I guess she's gonna be important. Like, this is setting the tone for like where she's from. I guess.
If you really want to get big on like kind of understanding the lore, because the way that the Halo games kind of branch it out, like between 1 to 5 and Reach and all that, it's kind of confusing. But I think on like Netflix they have I think it's called Halo Legends, which is like
really?
little mini clips, like little mini animated cutscenes that kind of explain the lore of Halo and how it all started.
Whoa.
Darren,
it's really
correct
good.
me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Halo Reach like the last Halo Bungie worked on before they went to make Destiny?
Yeah. I know that's true.
So,
is their
so
song.
everything that you're saying about narrative and like really innovative storytelling and whatnot, that totally sounds like Bungie. And I'm like, no, there's no way 343 could have done this.
Yeah, I guess Halo 4 comes in this package, so I'll keep you guys posted. And what's cool about the way they're doing it is they're staggering the releases, so they're doing it chronologically as it relates to story. So next one's going to be Halo 1, then Halo 2, etc. So I'm really going to like experience the whole Halo storyline as they release it.
I'm happy for you.
Man.
So that was fun to finally dive in there. It's been on my bucket list for so long, but it was one of those things where because Halo 3 was never on PC and I didn't have an Xbox, I didn't want to play Halo 1 and 2 on PC and just be like left hanging here and be like, what happens in Halo 3 forever? Because I didn't want to have an Xbox. So the fact that it's all one package on PC just makes life easy.
To be able to go back and like replay, like, or just imagine, a lot of people say, like, can I erase one part of my mind and replay a certain game? To be able to do that and just not play Halo 1 and do that
Never
like
played
fresh.
Halo 1 campaign, dude.
I'm envious of you, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it's gonna be in full HD, beautiful graphics. So
yeah,
you got to do co-op with somebody. You got to.
Oh yeah.
For those,
one of you fuckers, let's hop on. Let's go.
Dude, I'm game. I'm game.
Yeah. So that was Halo. There are some. I played it initially on release. There were a couple like audio issues that I think they're gonna resolve. Wasn't a game-breaking issue for me, but just calling that out for people who are looking to pick it up. The other game I've been playing is the last DLC for Shovel Knight, which is King of Cards. Have you guys played Shovel Knight, or have you played any of the DLCs?
I beat Shovel Knight. I haven't done I haven't completed the DLCs.
Yeah. Well, what I can say about the Shovel Knight games and the DLCs, they're extremely well made, and it's very clear how much love Yacht Club Games, or the developers, have for that era of gaming. They, King of Cards, you play as King Knight, and so it's so funny because he has this like boisterous personality, and they really make him like a hilarious character. And one of the throwbacks to like older gaming, his attack is a shoulder charge, which is basically ripped right out of Warrior Land. Warrior's charge, and he does that shoulder charge, and then if you run into something, then he jumps up in the air and does this little spin, and then you can land on people, similar to Shovel Knight's down thrust, or like an Adventure of Link from Zelda, the down thrust as well. And so again, really well made platform game. They added, in this King of Cards expansion, they added a card game as like a completely optional side objective. So it's similar to like Witcher and Gwent, where you can just, if you want to play this extra card game, you can. It's really fun. I don't typically find myself loving card style games, but for the 1 or 2 minutes it takes to play one of these matches, it's kind of a fun, nice diversion from the main platforming. But the thing about Yacht Club games and the Shovel Knight games is that platforming is super tight. Controls feel so good. So they really do a great job of designing the levels to fit the characters. So the original Shovel Knight was built around Shovel Knight's toolset, and then every expansion they've released for free, might I add, if you've purchased the original campaign, they just add these giant campaigns that are like longer than the original. They completely change every level to adapt to Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and now King Knight's play style. So King Knight, he's got that shoulder and the spin jump, like I said, so every level is adapted based on those moves. I'm really loving it so far. I'm probably like 90% done with it. I'll probably wrap it up this weekend, but can't recommend it highly enough.
So wait, so if I buy Shovel Knight, I get all that for free?
Yes.
It's not like a bundle that I have to...
Well, they've actually changed the pricing model. So if you purchase Shovel Knight day one, I think it was like $15 or $20, maybe a little more. Yeah. And if you had it from the day one edition, they've just expanded. As they've added more DLCs, they've actually bumped the price a little bit. So I think if you were to buy the full package now, it is $40 US dollars or something 40. Like that. Now,
at 45, it's still worth.
Yes, I would pay $60 for this game, hands down.
Yeah, support the company for sure. They're awesome.
Yeah, they have done. This is one of the few examples that I've seen where they've achieved their Kickstarter goals and held every promise, or they've kept every promise that they made on Kickstarter. I mean, this is a 5-6 year journey that they've made when they promised this. I think it was back in 2013, 2014 when they made this Kickstarter, and they said, here's what we're going to do. As a stretch goal, we're going to add these extra campaigns. The other thing I forgot to mention, because I haven't even played it yet, which I'm going to play after King of Cards, they added a brand new multiplayer Smash Brothers style mode called Shovel Knight Showdown. And that's again
I
for
saw
free.
that. I've seen
that's
that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they just put every character from the campaign and some fun surprises, and you can just play like a Smash Brothers style multiplayer game.
Cool.
And it
So
has a
that's
single
not a
player
separate
mode.
game?
It's the same game. You pay the one
Same
package
game?
and it all comes in. Yeah, it's
Wow.
amazing value for the money. I'd say each campaign, if like I said, I'm a completionist, so Shovel Knight probably took me like maybe 8 hours, 100% run through, and each campaign is like around that 8 to 10 hour gap. So
Wow,
like you're
that's a
getting a
lot.
good, bang for your buck in terms of the campaigns.
Awesome.
Yeah, so highly
Wow.
recommend.
For
Yeah,
me, I'm still playing.
I played just Shovel Knight, the first one, and then Plague Knight. But
Yeah,
I haven't
Spectre
played
Knight's
the other ones.
really good.
Yeah, cool.
Same. I
Yeah,
did
just
like
checking Shovel Knight right now on the eShop. It is $39.99.
Mhm.
Oh, you can't see that. Oh, well.
it's for the little thing.
It's
yeah.
$39.99.
It's worth
Yeah,
it.
so it is more in price now. So
Yeah, they bumped
I
it.
liked
Yeah, I
it.
knew
It was
that.
a good time. Wasn't as big a fan of like Spectre and Plague Knight. I don't think I gave it enough of a chance though. But when I played through the original, I really did like it. Good throwback to like Super Nintendo games. That kind of platforming. The dialogue was actually pretty fun, entertaining.
Very
so
funny,
like,
yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah,
But
well written.
just going over the 3 games that I've been playing. First, still Astral Chain on the channel. This most recent video I just published yesterday faced off against a giant homunculus, and then progressed on, had to defeat this odd egg-like thing that spawned in the astral plane, and then
Sounds like platinum, dude.
dude, it's crazy. And then there's this character called Jenna I just engaged, but I don't want to get into like any of that just because it's again late
Spoilers.
game.
Hey,
here,
I'm gonna
so-
pick it up soon. So
Yeah. But
Hey,
so I'll avoid more talks on
so-
it. What up?
Really quick, sorry. So about Astral Chain, I mean, one of the things you can totally tell it's a Platinum game. I think they use the same font as the font in Nier. Isn't Nier a Platinum game also?
Yep,
Yeah.
Nier Automata.
So like I was like, I've seen this typeface before. Where have I seen this type? It's a totally weird thing to notice, but then like you boot up Nier and I'm like, oh,
Good
shit,
attention to
yeah,
detail.
Okay.
Yeah, man. The other game I've been
Anyways,
playing,
sorry.
that's all I'm going to say about like Astral Changes. Again, I'm going to keep that stuff brief. But Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and I know Brandon's going to be interested
Here
on
we
this.
go.
So-
Here
I
we
was
go.
playing it last night.
Let's dive in.
Dude, some sad shit just happened. I can't actually say what it is. I don't want to like reveal any spoilers. I'm sure you guys
Jake, no, dude, I want to know. All right,
will.
how
Without
do we
like
talk
spoiling
about
it
this
for
without
these guys.
spoiling it?
But
yeah, because I haven't played it.
yeah. I went to
All right,
Remire.
so you were Black Eagle's house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go back with Edelgard in the special extra cutscene?
Go back with Edelgard in the special.
Was there a
extra.
special cutscene where you went back with Edelgard? Okay.
Maybe.
So you and I have no, you would remember immediately as soon as I said that. You and I probably have very different games. So, shit, how do I spoil this?
How do I spoil it?
How do
How do I
I not spoil this? How do I not spoil it? Because there's a cutscene. If this happens, then you skip the rest of the month. Did that happen?
No, I'm in the rest
Okay.
of the month now.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good or
So-
bad thing now.
No, it's fine. There's 2 different endings. What's crazy about the Black Eagles run are there's 2 different endings. So what you saw happen could not happen, which is what happened in my game. So maybe we'll talk afterwards, but like,
Interesting.
yeah, dude, Black Eagles gets really interesting because it's the only house where you have that option. Spoilers, you know why.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but there's like you can basically like choose to be with certain people or not certain people.
Yeah, I mean, first one off to Meyer. That was where like the crazed students started attacking me. Then I came back and our whole house had this like big formal ball. And then
Yeah,
there's
that's
this.
cool. Who'd you
cutscene.
bring to the clock tower?
Wait. Not bring to the clock tower, but I thought like somebody was already there when he got
Oh
there.
yeah, who was at the clock tower?
Bernadetta.
Okay, yeah. It's whoever you have the highest support.
Oh,
with.
I was
Yeah.
wondering. I was like, why is she here? Like, and she was like her conversation.
She's your
made it
girl,
seem like,
Jake.
yeah.
She's your girl.
Yeah, she was like my favorite so far. She's
Best
like my-
waifu.
Yeah,
Best
she's
waifu,
my
Jake.
wife.
The
I'm gonna
game
splatter
knows.
on my Call of Duty gun.
Number 1 wifey.
But that's it.
All right.
And then right after that is when that certain action scene happened. Well, okay. So I want to talk to you after that to see like where yours branched off. But I did continue through the month. Right now I'm doing one auxiliary mission, I think, right before the next main mission pops. but like already came back and everybody's talking about the event, and like I'm just interacting with everybody. I guess you didn't see that, but it's interesting.
You might not be there. Hold on. Has anything changed with the character models?
No, there hasn't been.
Okay,
all I know is there's a time skip.
Okay, so you're not at the time skip, or you are?
I'm not at the time skip yet.
Okay, all right, hold on.
So one thing hasn't happened yet?
You're not at the plate yet. Yeah, you're
Okay,
not at the place yet. So shit just got real, but you're not like the realist of shit getting real.
Dang. Okay.
Is the game that crazy?
It is.
Yeah,
like
dude.
it gets there.
I played
fucking
Fire
nuts.
Emblem. I played Awakening and I played Fates, and there was nothing
The
like
story
they're good
in
games.
Three Houses is leagues better than Awakening and Fates.
Okay,
Leagues.
cool. That's
Because
good.
of the way that they set it up, and the branching paths are so different. Like what's crazy is like a lot of the pre-release footage shows all three houses, and you're like, oh, they play basically the same, or like this guy's got a cocky attitude. The endings of those games, based on the decisions you make and the houses you go with, are so different, and that's why I'm trying to get like tease where Jake is going with it. But you're not there yet, Jake. So we'll get there. When you get to the time skip, then we can talk.
That's it for that one. Just to move it on. The only other one that I was playing briefly, but I don't know if you guys have heard of Degrees of Separation. It's on the Nintendo Switch, but it's a puzzle platformer. It's really meant to be played co-op with somebody. I was playing with Lulu recently, but one character is going to control a boy from like an ice-like realm, and the other is going to control a girl that can like manipulate heat. It's like a narrative stories playing in the background, kind of like a child's fairy tale type thing being told as you're like moving, like progressing through the levels. I think I only got, I don't know, an hour or something into it, and then Lulu lost interest. So I was like, okay. But I mean, it's
boring.
It's not like, I mean, it's okay. It's an okay. I picked it up for like $1.50 or something. It was
Was
super,
it worth
super
an
cheap.
hour's worth for $1?
Yeah, I would say. And
There
you
you
know,
go.
I do plan to revisit from time to time. Maybe she'll like be interested again randomly, but
Change your mind.
it was
So
worth
just
the
to,
effort.
and just to make a quick bit about that part,
Yeah.
I'm noticing, and I've heard other podcasts talk about this too. There's kind of a weird trend right now on the Nintendo eShop where developers really want to get their game on the most downloaded
I know
or
what you're
the
talking about.
trending list. And so what they'll do is they'll take their like, I don't know, $30 game and discount it to like 99 cents.
Yeah.
So guess what? A bunch of people will hop on that. Oh shit, it's only 99 cents. And then like it
that's
doesn't
made it to
take
the
into
top
factor
downloaded.
like
Yeah.
right. It doesn't take into account like retention rates or whatever. They'll realize it's a shit game. They won't play it again. But then at least they got their downloads. Now they're at
That's
the top of the
marketing,
list.
dude.
And then they'll jack up their price
Price,
back up
yeah.
to $30.
Yeah,
That's marketing.
Wow.
Yeah.
but hey,
You
that
think they'd have some algorithm. You think they'd have some algorithm to kind of
Yeah.
like make that not possible, but
that's going to cover it for games we've been playing. Let's move into the next section. This one's going to be the best bit. Let's see what you guys thought about it. But this one is going to be, what is the best game over screen? And let's start with Darren. What's your favorite or the best game over screen?
okay. I'm gonna say Chrono Trigger because it's actually
Oh,
like an ending.
yes.
But there's many.
Like it's actually an
No,
actual
but we
ending
know the
to
one
game.
he's talking
Yeah,
about.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah. Do you want me to like just break it down, or I mean, I don't want
I
to.
mean,
Yeah, for people that don't. Well, unless it's a spoiler, but
It's
go ahead.
not
yeah.
really. You can get it at pretty much any time. Like
Yeah, you can. Basically, when all your characters die, it goes to basically lava's like destroying the whole planet. And there's like
Oh,
cutscenes.
yeah.
The characters
Yeah.
are talking, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta hurry up." There's this guy in the command center, control center. And I forgot what it says at the end, but people quote
but the
it sometimes.
future refused to change.
Thank you. Yeah. People always
Calling it out. I love that.
Yep. yeah, exactly.
Good pick, dude. Good pick.
So, yep.
That's a
that'd be
good
mine.
one. I didn't think about that.
I didn't
one.
think about that either.
Shit.
That is a good one.
Oh, come on, Jake. You didn't
Okay.
think about that?
It was good, but like
think-
the other two I thought about, like they weren't. It wasn't near that. The honorable
I'm
mention
done.
I had was the Banjo Kazooie. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously I got to
Gratitude.
mention that it's my game.
Yeah.
But if you quit it,
Wait,
it cuts
what
to-
is it? What is it?
It's funny.
If you
yeah,
quit,
Jake,
like say you back out and you say like save and quit the game, it's like, are you sure? And when you do that, it's gonna jigsaw puzzle, zoom in, zoom out, and it's gonna do a cut to Gruntilda going into a machine where Tui's in like a identical machine next to her, and it steals the beauty from Tui, which is Banjo's sister, and puts it onto Gruntilda. So Gruntilda steps out of the machine like smoking hot. Like, so she's beautiful.
It's really funny.
And then Mumbo comes and he tries to like propose to her, gives her flowers, and starts talking about her how pretty she is and stuff, kind of like trading sides right there. And then Tui steps out and she's like hideous, you know, ugly, fat, overweight, and she's like, Banjo, we gotta talk, or something like that. So that's just honorable mention for me. But the one that I selected was, and actually me and I think it was John. Yeah, me and John were talking about this, Golden Sun. And I'm not sure if it counts exactly, but there's early on in the game you meet the Great Healer. And it's one of those things where he says, hey, do you want to accept this mission? I think I even wrote it down here. Isaac, will you accept responsibility for the fate of the land? And if you say no and start walking out the door, he asks, you know, like, hey, if you take another step, if you go outside, then like that's it. You know, you're quitting. You're quitting on this mission. If you keep walking out, it'll like cut to like a game over screen, and it'll say, and so the world began drifting towards its fated destruction. And then all you can do, it gives you like two options: return to file screen or return back to like the Great Healer. But I do like that. It's like it gives you the option, the true option. They always say, do you accept the responsibility? You click A, your character nods. Like every game, that's just how it works. But this one's like, okay, if you don't want to, it's fine. The game over.
But let's be fair. I mean, let's be fair, Jake. Like before, I don't think it's been emphasized enough. Like before that happens, he asks you like a bunch of times.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Are you sure? Are you
no.
sure?
You have to really be sure you want to.
You have to really be sure you don't want to. You know, you have to really be sure you're an asshole.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, to even know that, you have to be an asshole. You have to be an asshole to know that exists.
Yeah, you have to be an asshole.
That's why Jake knows.
Yeah. Got to have that bad playthrough.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. What about you, John? Game over.
Okay, so honorable mention. It's not really a game over screen, but the original Star Fox.
Wow.
There's a So not. I mean, I'm not. So the game over screen's like just a typical game over screen, but there's an ending in the game where there's a special area where I forgot what it is. It's like getting to the black hole, but then there's an even more crazy way to get to it. It's called like the next dimension or something like that, and you just fight like batshit enemies for like the whole game. Well, anyways, there's a slot machine that's the boss to this final dimension, and then once you beat it, it ends the game. It beats the game, and you basically fly your ship through like the ending credits.
Whoa.
And then it gets to like the end logo, and like you can shoot the end logo. So I thought that was an honorable mention. But my pick from Kojima himself has to be from Death Stranding. So remember what I was talking. No. Well, I mean, not
okay, got it.
Not
thinking
ending,
like
but
ending.
so now,
game over.
yeah. So now we're pivoting to game over screen. So there is a typical game over screen, but that's if you do something stupid. Like right now, I'm in a mission where I'm supposed to deliver an antimatter bomb to this other city, and if like your motorcycle like bumps it the wrong way, the whole thing just explodes, and then it'll just say like order failed. But
oh yikes.
But yeah, so that's like a kind of like an atypical game over screen. But the typical one is what I was talking to you about earlier with the corpses and how you have to incinerate them. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if you don't incinerate them, it causes what's called a void out, which is basically like a gigantic explosion because they turn into the BT, they turn into the ghosts, and then if the ghosts eat a human being, it like creates this gigantic crater, and basically like in the context of the game, it ends it. So what happens if you shoot a corpse, or if you shoot somebody, you leave their corpse there, it turns into a BT and eats somebody, the whole screen goes white, and then you live through the void out. So like you're basically swimming okay, again, this sounds really weird because it is a Kojima game, but you're basically swimming through like the remains of the world, and you have to find your body and return to it. But when you find your body and return to it, it's not like you continue on where you left off. It's it's a reload last save game prompt
Whoa.
when you
That's kinda cool.
get back to your body. So like you reloading your last save, or you returning back to your body is reloading your last save. So like the whole continuing after the game over is within context of the
Yeah.
game. And
That's
I thought that
crazy.
was super like
That's really well done.
super genius way of handling like game overs and like restarting.
What about you,
So,
Brandon?
anyways, that's
What's
my
your
pick.
favorite?
Good pick,
Nice.
dude. So I'll run through a few quick honorable mentions. I really like, I don't know if it's every Call of Duty game, but I know definitely Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, when you die, they have those iconic war quotes. Which really,
yeah.
really
I
like
that.
contextualizes.
Yeah.
And I think that it adds a lot of gravity to those games,
Oh,
which
yeah.
sometimes can be missing. It's like, oh shit, like, war is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And
They're
they're like
doing
really
the new one, too.
profound quotes. So I liked that, just kind of a small detail. I gotta throw out Grand Theft Auto 5. I just think it's really funny when you die, when it goes wasted, and then it
Oh.
like the whole screen kind of like gets tinted, and then it's like slow motion, like your corpse. There's just like so many YouTube
It's classic.
yeah, like
You can
videos
see why
out
the
there.
meme came about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it's just like really funny when like your body ragdolls all over the place. But getting a little closer, I was gonna call out Chrono Trigger, so good job there, Darren. And then actually kind of similar to Chrono Trigger, it's not my number one, but Majora's Mask. If you let the timer
yeah.
go out all the way, the
Moon
moon
comes.
comes and crashes and like destroys
Oh,
the
right,
Earth.
right.
You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? Just like a really, again, kind of like somber ending to that game, and it's just really impactful to actually see that happen. If you don't
Wow.
rewind time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my number one game over screen, and I think they do this throughout the series, has got to be Batman Arkham Asylum. I think they do it in City as well and all the other games. So what's cool about these game over screens is they actually have the enemy or the boss that killed you mocking you in the game over screen. So it's like a really good attention to detail where it's
I like
like
that.
if the Joker killed you, it's like, ooh, baddie, like better luck next time or something. And they like really try to push your buttons. And I think that's what a good game over screen should be, is something that like kind
you
of
feel
teases
bad.
like, hey, you messed up, but it's also like trying to goad you to like hit that retry button. In a way, and like the fact that they added that level of detail and they have like completely original voice lines for all the bosses when you die by a boss, I just thought it was a really, really good way to do the game over screen.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah, very well done.
All right,
Yeah,
that does it
actually,
for
as we were
that
talking
game.
about, as we were talking about some of these, it made me think of others. Like Fallout 2 had a good one. Like you turn into a super mutant or whatever.
Oh, whoa.
There's like you get.
That's
you
the
get
game
your-
over?
your body gets dumped in. I think it's Fallout 2. It might be Fallout 1, but you're basically like in a bag, and you get dumped into the like basically like the radioactive goo or whatever.
Interesting.
And then you
Yikes.
come out and you're a super mutant, and it's like it's really like it's kind of brutal like the way they do it, because your character's like screaming in the bag like let me go, and yeah, you get dropped in, and it's like it was dark.
Yikes.
Dang.
Well,
All right, well, now's a good time. Let's transition into the gaming news section. This one's going to be pretty meaty. We've got a lot of things, like I said in the beginning, Nintendo's Indie Direct. Let's start with that one first. Let's go around the table and talk about, just name one game that stood out to you during this Direct and then the reason why. Brandon, what was like one game for you?
I'd say Super Mash. I thought this is a really interesting concept.
You took
so
mine.
for those who didn't see
Yeah.
it, it's essentially it's this game that allows you to create other games, but the way they do it, it's not like an RPG maker or like a very in-depth set of tools. You literally get two genres that you can mash together. So you can take an RPG and a platformer, you combine those two genres, and it spits out a game. And what they were showing in the trailer is that there are additional modifiers that you can add to like change the game up. So I'm not sure, but I would imagine it's things like, like enemies like have double damage or different attack animations. And so really, I think the idea of it is to make it extremely replayable. The other reason I think that the developer who was presenting it showed like a code and said like, this is my favorite game to play. So I think the idea is like there's like so many permutations of the games you could potentially make. But I just think it's a really interesting concept, because if you're a gamer who knows the type of genres that they like, you can just only make platformers combined with other types of genres, or only make RPGs combined with other genres. So I thought it was a really creative spin on an indie type game.
I'll piggyback off that. That was mine as well. That's the one that stood out immediately to me. I think the one that the example they used in the trailer was like the JRPGs slash, and now it's gonna be platformers, and it showed like how you could do that. It's the background of the story is it's set in a game shop that's owned by a brother and sister, and they discover like some mysterious console, and I guess that console is what allows them to mesh these two together. It comes out in May 2020, and what's cool is you can actually share the game that you created together with like friends. So like if you scroll over the game or whatever that you saw, the code that you get, you can share to somebody else, and they can play that like the game that you just meshed together like with other people. So I thought that was pretty cool. But what about you two, Darren or John?
I mean, you already know. I know you already know what game I'm gonna bring up.
Yeah.
I think.
For the Ninja Verge?
Yeah.
Number 2?
Axiom Verge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
That was like good.
So
like
if
a
you
great
like,
way.
if you
Really
like
ended.
Metroidvania style games, specifically if you like just like Super Metroid, I would argue that Axiom Verge is. I would say it's actually better than Super Metroid. That's nothing against Super Metroid. I love Super Metroid.
What about Bloodstained? Do you think it's better than Bloodstained?
I haven't played Bloodstained. I know a lot of people.
It's also like a little different. I think they're going for different things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I'm kind of more into the kind of like futuristic kind of thing. So like Bloodstained it's kind of like more like Castlevania, I guess, on that side, I guess.
Castlevania, part of the Metroidvania. Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, in Axiom Verge, there's just so many different types of weapons that can be used in unique ways, and the bosses are really good.
Yeah.
And it has lots of exploration, and the guy made the game by himself. Like he did the music, he did everything, and like it's just if you guys haven't played it yet, I know Jake, I don't think you're
not big into
Metroidvanias, but
it's worth playing. The glitch mechanic by itself is really well done.
Yeah, and the story, it actually has like in my humble opinion, like Super Metroid, the story is pretty basic, and I mean Axiom Verge is pretty basic too, but like this game, it's like when it ended, I was like, I want to know more about this, like, because there were a lot of unanswered questions, but there was
some
a lot
meta
of stuff
going on
in it. Yeah, so I mean, if any of you haven't played it, I really highly recommend playing it because it's a really solid game.
You've been going to bat for a while for Axiom Verge, like for months now. Like you've been talking about how good it is and like how we should play it, and then out of nowhere, this Indies Direct pops and like their closers like Axiom Verge too. And I think I immediately messaged you like, "Hey, so what did you think of the Direct?"
Yeah, and I played it pretty late, like because. I initially got it on the Xbox when it came. Yeah, I got it on the Xbox. Yeah, but the game had been out for quite a while. But like I kept hearing people praise it, and I was just like, that's when I started really getting into indie gaming. I think later I'll probably talk about these games like on another podcast. But they're like recently, like indie games have like they're getting really, really, really good. I mean, they've been getting really good, but there's some really good ones out there. Like holy cow.
About you, John?
So disclaimer: I didn't actually watch the actual stream. I just read the summary afterwards. But I am ashamed none of you want to throw thousands of dollars towards Dauntless. That is shameful. You don't want to throw all your. I'm just kidding. No. It is free to play. Like it's actually
Monster Hunter clone kind of.
Yeah, it's a Monster Hunter clone. That was all. For those that don't know, that was all jokes, by the way. You shouldn't throw your money away at a free-to-play game like that. Warframe maybe, but not really Dauntless.
I mean, I got friends that like Dauntless.
I've heard good things.
Really?
But
okay. Okay. So Super Mash, I'm kind of that piqued my interest, just like you guys said, Jake and B-Ray. But I'm with Darren for my pick. Axiom Verge 2. As somebody that's as somebody that played the original Super Metroid and has just been a fan of Metroidvanias, I've played Symphony of the Night, most of the Game Boy Advance Castlevanias, and that whole type of game just speaks to me, especially on the go. It's like a really good game to just be like, oh, I need to go farm like whatever for like just pray to RNGesus for that one drop, but yeah, excited about Axiom Verge 2. But again, yeah, like, but super interested in Super Smash and see what it brings. Like, I, I wouldn't say I'm gonna pre-order it, but
Keep an eye on it.
I hope they don't screw this one up.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not like, like games that do that tend to have really awesome concepts and then be like terrible in execution. So I'm really hoping they pull it off, and I'm rooting for Super
It'd
Smash.
be cool. Let's keep moving on with game news. That's pretty much it. I mean, it was pretty small, 20 minutes of that. This next one, let's kind of keep this one brief as well. The big meaty one's going to be the Game Awards, but let's talk about Sony State of Play. And I was thinking, I mean, we saw a lot of it. Of course, they had like some VR stuff. They had like some smaller titles, but the big one, the big reveal was Resident Evil 3 Remake. And I wanted to see. I already know at least a few of you guys. Are you guys a fan of the franchise? What's your favorite game?
Yep.
And what were your thoughts on like how they presented it with the like multiplayer aspect coming first with Project Resistance or whatever? So who wants to start?
Wait, before you start, isn't Project Resistance isn't that included with RE3?
How they did it was like the reveal was, hey, and now we got an update for you on like say Project Resistance, the multiplayer thing that's kind of like Left 4 Dead or whatever, and like 4 people against a big baddie. And then as you start seeing the trailer roll, as you start seeing like the gameplay going through, you're like, wait, this doesn't look like kind of like what we saw. Person's running down the hallway and fire, and then the big baddie drops through the roof, and then she breaks out into the side.
Stars.
Yeah. And the moment you see that, oh shit, this isn't Resistance, and they're like RE3.
Yeah, dude.
So they
So
played it off. Yeah.
So Brandon, isn't there like, because I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm kind of in the middle of playing Resident Evil 2. I had to, but I haven't finished it yet. But aren't there like references to like RE3? They're gonna connect the two games together, right?
Well, they're like inherently connected. So Resident Evil 3 is set before, during, and after Resident Evil 2. And so you play as Jill Valentine and Carlos Oliveira, I believe is his last name, in Resident Evil 3. And you're in Raccoon City just like you are in Resident Evil 2. And you actually visit in like one part of the game, the RPD, like where the entire Resident Evil 2 is set. So it's really interesting kind of like back and forth. What's awesome about Resident Evil 3 is obviously Nemesis. That's why it's called Nemesis. And what's cool is the way that they designed Resident Evil 2 Remake, we kind of got a little tease of what Nemesis would be like. Because in the original, in the original Resident Evil 2, Mr. X, or like the Tyrant, whatever, he would just kind of be like a boss that you fought a couple times. And he wouldn't chase you through the mansion. He wouldn't have all these like you could actually kill him. You could actually put him down. Nemesis you could not kill until like the end of the game, right? And so what they did with Resident Evil 2 and Mr. X really set the stage for like, hey, this is probably going to be how Nemesis is going to look like, except like way more aggressive. He's got a rocket launcher. He busts through windows and doors and everything. Like, do not mess with Nemesis. So I'm really excited about this game.
No, Easy Allies actually talked a little bit about that. I think, I don't remember which one brought it up, but the best introduction I think they could do, I'm not a big fan of the franchise. I've only played a couple games, but imagine like Nemesis, his introduction is like smashing Mr. X's head together or something. Just to set the tone, like this guy is, here's Mr. X, here's Nemesis. That's his introduction, and then he starts chasing.
You do not want to fuck with, dude. Go ahead.
So I'm looking forward to all the people modding Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh yeah,
of
dude.
course,
You can bet. Yeah.
Or
I'll just comment. I think the addition of Project Resistance is a really interesting play from Capcom. It's really unexpected, frankly, because I think they could have sold Resident Evil 3 full price and sold Resistance at like maybe a lower price separate. I think their fear was they probably wouldn't have the sales numbers. So maybe they're looking at this like, look, Resistance probably wouldn't have legs on its own. Why don't we just package it with Resident Evil 3? And I think the other thing that might add some credibility or some rationale to that decision, the way Resident Evil 2 is set up is they have Claire campaign, Leon campaign, and then like the second version of it. Resident Evil 3 wasn't designed like that, at least back in the day. It was just you play through Jill, and there's a couple parts with Carlos, and that's it. And so maybe in designing this game, they wanted to avoid backlash in terms of people saying like, oh, there's not enough content, like you only have one campaign versus there was like technically 4 campaigns in the other one. So like maybe they're trying to get ahead of that and say, like, there is only one campaign with Jill and Carlos, but we also have this awesome multiplayer mode as well.
Is
So
Resistance just a multiplator Resident Evil?
Yeah, it's brand
Okay.
new. That's not remaking anything. It's, to Jake's point, very similar to Left 4 Dead.
Okay, forgive me if I'm wrong, but didn't Capcom try to do like a multiplayer Resident Evil?
Outbreak?
Yep, they did
Long time
Outbreak
ago?
back in the day.
Yeah, right?
That was for PS2, I believe. That was like the first foray into online,
Yeah.
which was, I'd never played it, well received at the time, but that was all co-op versus this. You have that Left 4 Dead aspect where someone is playing the enemy.
Okay.
So they're like that mastermind that can like control bad guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
What about you, Darren? Any thoughts or what you're saying?
I'm a big fan of, and this is probably nostalgia, but I'm a big fan of like the original style, and I'd cut off the original style probably at Code Veronica. Like everything after Code Veronica. So like one of the charms of Resident Evil for me growing up was, you had the still frame where
Fixed camera angles.
Yeah, the fixed camera angles. That's the word I was looking for. Where like you would hear stuff, and you were just like, I'm kind of afraid to go into that next camera because I might just like walk into something. So it added, and some people would be like, well, that was just a limitation at the time, which is probably true. But at the same time, for me, that made it more like exciting and scary. Like especially when I was like, I think I was like 10 or 12 or something when Resident Evil first came out, or even younger, probably younger.
You should be playing those games at that age, buddy.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was like in high school already when that came out.
But once Resident Evil, once Resident Evil 4 came out, and you can kind of like, you had more control of what you can see. And I'm not downing the game. It's just, it was too big of a change for my nostalgia, I guess, to like really get into it. But I know a lot of people that like Resident Evil 4. I think is probably one of the most popular Resident
that's
Evil
my
games
favorite
out there.
Resident Evil game,
yeah,
hands down.
So it's just not what I remember. So, but yeah.
Nostalgia's a powerful drug, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I get it. Like, if you're so used to one style, like, if I'm a big fan of this series, I played 1, 2, 3, I love it, and they do, like, a drastic change on 4, like, I think it's completely okay to not enjoy that next iteration of the series if, for whatever reason, if it turns you off. Like, that's fine. They did a departure. They thought they were going to evolve it in one way or another into their series. People like it, people won't. It's fine. I don't see it as a bad thing, but I mean, I've only played Resident Evil 5 with Brandon. We did co-op through the campaign, and then 1 like on, again, demo discs, PS1 back in the day. So that's my experience. So I don't have like a great input on it.
Darren, have you played 7?
No, I haven't.
Interesting. 7, if you have fond memories of the horror and the scare factor, you would enjoy 7. It's first person, but it's definitely the scariest Resident Evil game they've ever made.
Oh, okay.
I tried playing that in VR. Holy shit!
Shit your pants, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Welcome to the family, son.
You're not just shitting your pants from the family like chasing you down. You're also like trying to prevent yourself from throwing up because
Well, I didn't play VR, but I can imagine.
I thought I was good with the motion sickness with all the other VR games I played, and they try to help you with like putting grid like a grid line and whatnot. But holy crap, is it tough to play like in VR? But I mean, when it works, like it's a lot better than playing just on a screen because you're really like immersed in that world.
I really wish they would have brought that to PC. I would have at least tried it. I would have at least given it a try, like on this.
Come on over, dude. Yeah, I have
PSVR.
I have Resident Evil 7 on there.
I'd like to try that out too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Darren still hasn't played VR. Like we still have to get him on like some sort of VR thing.
I know.
Resident Evil 7's a good intro.
Yeah.
Darren's pants off, dude.
You can go to John's house for PSVR or Oculus Quest, like the wireless version of it. Or my place.
Sorry,
for, like,
I don't mean to derail the news discussion really quick, but Oculus just released V12, and it just got pushed to my Quest, but the features aren't rolling out as fast as I thought, but it includes hand tracking.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. It's good for demoing to families, like, oh, you're in the world. VRing.
VR.
Let's move on to the next big segment, though. This one, well, still part of the same segment, but the news segment for Game Awards. This was a pretty big event, 3.5 hours long. Since it was so long, I just kind of narrowed it down to like some of the more heavy hitters. We can talk about it. For anyone who's watching this that's unaware, the Game Awards, it's an annual event that's hosted by Jeff Keighley, where games and developers are presented with like awards based off of voting from roughly like 80 different agencies. Categories, they range anywhere from like best RPG, best sports game, best multiplayer. The finale is the game of the year. We had a podcast on this kind of listing our nominations and stuff, what we personally thought was going to win, kind of based off our preferences, games that we actually played, if we had an opinion or not. But during this event, we saw a scattering of world premiere trailers, game reveals, and the next generation Xbox, which that's going to be one of the big things I want to talk about here. But that's where I want to start. Let's talk about the Xbox Series X, guys. What do you guys think about the naming scheme and design choice? And after that, we're going to talk about like what your favorite. Yeah. So, does anyone have like any other opinion than this thing looks like a trash can?
I like the way it looks.
Yeah, the design, honestly, like it's funny to say it looks like a refrigerator.
Yeah.
But
it's not
I'm not
bad,
like,
you know.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like
not
just,
offended by it.
Yeah.
You know, and like at least they're going for a style. Good on Microsoft for trying to make it unique.
And to me, it's like it's simple. Like I know John is a big fan of like Apple products, but I kind of like that it's just it's very clean cut. They're not going for some crazy weird design. It's just literally like just a rectangle.
It's like a computer tower. Right. That's literally what it is.
Just like in 2012 when Apple introduced their trash can, Microsoft had to follow up with their appliance. So now we have the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So
I like
Google,
that.
You're next.
Yeah.
Design me a
They're going to do a lawnmower.
Yes.
The Google lawnmower.
It's good. The Google lawnmower that's actually your Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, right.
But the name is awful. Gosh.
Yeah.
And also the abbreviation is the Xbox X.
Yeah. XS lowercase e X Xbox Series X.
They had to know what they were doing,
come
right?
on.
They had to know. They had to know that
someone knew. Someone knew, but the problem was that like somebody did it as like an in joke, and like the marketing team kind of just was like
okay, this sounds
is this
great.
really what they wanted to name it? Okay.
Let's see if this goes past the board. They're gonna catch us, right?
Stupid.
Yeah, but it is what it is. They showed off for that Hellblade 2, Senua Saga.
Looks really good.
Really quick question.
Yeah.
So they announced Bravely Default 2. Isn't there Bravely Second?
Yeah, they forgot about the sequel to the previous game. They're like,
so is it a different game or is it the same game?
Completely different game.
It's different, but I don't understand how that works in the timeline.
It reminds me of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, X, and 2.
Okay.
But I think what's weird about this is, I don't know, what we talked about it before, I felt like Xenoblade 1 and 2, they were very similar, game it was more similar world design, so maybe that's what they're going for. But I didn't play any of the Bravely Default games. I thought Bravely Default and Bravely Second were pretty similar to each other. So I don't know what they're going back to.
You visited the same. It's been a long time. I beat both of them, but you visit some of the same areas.
Yeah, so it's clearly a sequel. It's not like a weird X. You can kind of look at it and be like, oh, it's like a spin-off. Fine, but these Bravely Second, it's the direct follow-up. It makes no sense to me, but whatever, Square Enix.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why these companies can't get their naming things right. Why is it? Why can't you just? That's why I will give Sony credit. This 1, 2, 3. This just keep it simple.
I saw a tweet about that, Darren. There was a tweet or something on Reddit.
I saw something too.
Somebody was like, PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they went they listed all the names for Xbox. And it was clearly somebody had a better
even
better vision for
Nintendo.
this.
I mean, Nintendo was the first. They are kind of the first disaster that happened with the Wii and the Wii U. And I mean, you got the DS too. You got stuff I want to. A kid says I want a 3DS, and a mom buys a normal DS, and it's just just keep
I
it
want
simple,
the new 3DS.
Yeah.
Have it be Xbox One, Xbox 2, Xbox 3, and then maybe annotate a code name or something like that.
It reminds me of that Simpsons episode. It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Lisa where they were like selling like this doll, and then all of a sudden she like has a new hat, and I was like, oh, but it's the same doll, it's the same Malibu Stacy, but with a new hat.
Whoa.
So I've seen a good defense about this. A lot of people were talking about, like, say, like what Darren said, that it might be like a Wii U situation where nobody even knew like what this new thing was. Is it a new thing? Is it an attachment or an add-on to the Wii? And everyone's like, hey, this is going to be the same problem Microsoft is about to have. Somebody tweeted out like a defense of it, and it kind of made sense. So think about it. Microsoft's push for this new thing is that it is going to be like forwards and backwards compatible, like all the way. So it will play the earlier games. So like that's okay.
Fine, but Jake, you're still going to have the same problem if a mom goes to Target and buys an Xbox One X.
Right.
And now their kid can't play Series X games. It's like stupid.
Yeah. So I agree with that, but like I think that's what they were going for, is like, hey, you know, like you can get anything. It's all part of the same thing.
Well, they should call it Xbox backwards compatible.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, or Xbox Infinity. Who knows?
Yeah.
All I know is the marketing team is going to have a huge task in front of them trying to separate the two, or trying to differentiate between the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X.
Or the Super Xbox. Like, come on.
Do you think,
so many
do you think
better
there's
names.
time? Yeah, do you think there's time to remedy it? Do you think they might change the name like
I don't think so.
last second?
They
or do you
could.
think
I mean,
they
remember
already...
1995? Okay, maybe you don't remember 1995.
Yeah.
The Nintendo 64, what used to be called the Ultra 64, almost all the way up to like release. And I don't have it anymore, but I owned a Nintendo Ultra 64 hat. It's probably worth something now if I dig through my crap, but you know, I mean, it's definitely possible they could rebrand their shit like last minute, but I don't know. It's I guess it's all up to the marketing teams now. Like they have those marketing teams have a lot more control than you think. You know, I don't know. I don't know how they would. That's the only way that I can see themselves pulling out of it.
I saw a mock-up
last
for
minute name change. Man.
Like they have the Series X, right? So this is gonna be like their next premiere. This is Scarlet. Well, somebody mocked up Series D and Series, I want to say it was like C. Like the Series D would be the digital only console, and then the Series C would be like the cloud gaming platform or something like that. Like one that said,
and I think that's what they're trying to go for.
That's what it seems
like. Have code names.
Yeah.
But I just
started off on the wrong letter.
There's better ways to do code names. If that's what they're doing.
Everybody said this.
Call it the Series Pro or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's it. So I was curious what you guys' thoughts were. The only thing they really showed was, you know, like Hellblade coming. Obviously, we know Halo Infinite's going to be one of the launch titles for it. Would have really liked to have seen Fable 4. That would have been amazing. Or something else like on that. But I mean, hey, maybe E3.
Jake couldn't get his.
It's okay. It's okay.
Couldn't come back from his slump.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
So, outside that, like since we did see some of them, what was your favorite game reveal of the night? Of the full demonstration, whether you saw it or just kind of read up on it after, what was like your favorite new game reveal?
Bravely Default 2.
Bravely Default 2.
Yeah.
For me, it's Godfall. And it was just a CGI trailer, you know, like Brandon mentioned that. Like he says it's harder to get like more hyped for it, but I liked the concept. I liked the environment it was. I liked how the giant Leviathan or three-headed beast, whatever it was falling out of the sky after and like destroying the world that's below, and the storms brewing around him. Like it looked cool. Then it comes out and it's like a card game. Yeah, okay, that sucks. But
well, I mean, you like loot games, so it's basically Destiny with swords.
Yeah,
I feel like that's right up your alley.
Slasher looter, man. That's what they're calling this thing, slasher looter. So I'm like, I'm on board with the concept idea and with the little they saw, but.
For me, for brand new reveals, it's probably Senua. I love the original Hellblade, so I think that was just like a really impressive trailer, especially if that was all in-engine.
It was dark.
My favorite trailer was actually No More Heroes 3. I just love, but that's already announced, so it doesn't count for this segment, but I'll just shout that out in terms of just like a really funny, well-made trailer. I love Suda51.
Nice. How about you, John? Anything that stood out or anything new for like a game reveal?
Well, Bravely Default does intrigue me. I mean, like nothing about that show was super like, oh, I'm super hyped about. Even the Xbox One Series X. Wait, no,
Xbox
no one.
Series
Just
X.
Series X.
That's what's confusing.
See, it's already happening.
Yeah, it's already happening. So
We're gamers.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Moms are
So
screwed.
nothing was like super exciting for me. Just a bunch of games that kind of like piqued my interest. So Bravely Default 2. I heard a lot of good things about Hellblade. I regret not playing Hellblade, and I really need to play that because I liked.
Still time,
it's
dude.
Ninja Theory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still time.
So I'm a fan of Ninja Theory's other stuff. One thing that kind of caught me by surprise was Prologue. The guys that.
PlayerUnknown's.
Yeah, from the guys that made PUBG. I'm kind of I'm not excited for it, but I'm kind of interested in that.
That was like a 4-second clip.
Yeah, it's
too.
hard for me to get excited about
Yeah.
literally 4 seconds of nothing.
It was like really
But I mean,
quick.
this is-
Like, oh no, you know nothing.
Right, but if these are the guys that basically jump started the battle royale genre, it might be worth my time. But I think if I had to choose one, is Ghost of Tsushima,
Yeah.
because
Great trailer.
Yeah.
I liked the bit that I played of Neo. I really liked Sekiro, and game of the. But while I'm on that topic, by the way, game of the year, awesome job for them.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting my
Same.
game, Death Stranding, to win it. But when Sekiro won it, I was just as excited because it deserves it.
Yeah.
It's a really good
Very
game.
well
So,
deserved. I agree.
along that same line, Ghost of Tsushima, like, I'm really I mean, just because of Sekiro, I'm really interested in it now.
Sucker Punch.
So that would be
they make good games. So.
yeah.
Well, going with that, like you're saying, so I agree. Like, I mean, I haven't played Sekiro, but I do feel it's well deserved from the praise it's received. I think it got like a solid 90 on Metacritic as of the last time I saw, and like in general, it seems to be like well received. What are your guys' thoughts on overall the awards that were presented? Did anything stand out as being not, like did you feel that something was not recognized appropriately? Did you think everything was pretty fair?
There was one game, what was it, that got like, we were talking about it the other day. Anyway, everybody else talk for a second. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
I
look
mean,
it
I
up
do
on my
remember you
phone.
mentioning something.
The
I don't remember what it
awards
was.
Yeah.
themselves, I thought were actually pretty well done and well deserved. I give a lot of credit to Disco Elysium. I've not played that game, but the fact it swept like
Oh, I forgot to mention that. That's
They
good.
got
too.
four.
Yeah.
they have 4 different awards. Just a really incredible job by that studio, and it really makes me intrigued to check that game out. Some of the awards I wish they had spent more time on. I always think that best performance in terms of voice actor, like, it would be nice if they gave that one a little bit more credit. And then soundtrack as well. Those are 2 that they kind of just like did off stage and just kind of like announced and ran through.
Yeah.
But overall, I think very deserved winners. And again, I think the fact that they do poll so many different outlets to get those results, and there is also a fan component of it, it led to some pretty good results.
Yeah, I think like
Oh,
overall,
really
kind of like
quick.
yeah. What were you saying?
Sorry. So I called it for Mads Mikkelsen's best
Yeah, you
best
did.
Oh
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally deserved it. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
But like the kind of like what Brandon said is some of them were run down like on the side, just hey for best thing of this, and then like 3 seconds later best thing, and then best thing. It's like he ran down like some of them were actually bigger like announcements. Like some like I don't know, some went up on stage, they had a presenter, they had somebody come out and like give it, but I felt like some of the other ones was like, man, we should be making a bigger deal over some of the ones they announced. And I noticed like they seemed to speed through a lot of those. There was obviously a lot of advertisements. People were complaining about, say, Magic the Gathering popping up 8 different times, or Google Stadia having the same commercial run. But I get it. Like
I
these things
remember
need
what I was
money.
gonna say, Jake. So whenever you're ready. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Finish that
that's
thought.
pretty much it. Is like I do want. I don't know if it would have been too much, but like every single one of those major categories to be up on stage, not just thrown off onto a overlay on the side, 3 side by side, like run down, like, and for best, RPG, it's this and action, and then for this one, and then let's move on to talking to this developer right here. But I was like,
It's tough to pick, I think.
Yeah.
I don't envy Keeley and the rest of the producers to figure out what they're actually going to spend time on and not spend time on.
No way would I want the responsibility of like dealing with that and like being the one responsible for saying, okay, we're gonna have exactly this amount of on stage. Yeah. But what was the?
So 2 things stuck out to me.
Yeah.
First was the announcement of best mobile game. Call of Duty Mobile beat out Sayonara Wild Hearts and What the Golf? Excuse me? 2 games that are like way better gameplay-wise, thematically. Call of Duty is just like a money pit for us, COD crack addicts, and that somehow beat like one of the best like music narrative themed games.
Yeah.
Period. Not just for a mobile game, and another one. What the Golf is a really simple, like perfectly from a gameplay perspective, just a really solid game. That was a shocker to me. Okay, and another one, and this should be the war cry because I'm about to piss all you guys off. Best fighting game, Super Smash Brothers. What the fuck? Smash Brothers is an arena brawler.
Dude, get out of here.
It is an arena brawler.
Get out of here, dude.
It is an arena brawler. It is not. It's along the same lines as Power Stone.
But there wasn't.
There wasn't
out of here.
There wasn't even a category.
Mike
there wasn't even a
Smash Brothers
category.
is a fighting game. What? The
Yeah,
entire gameplay are you and another character or other characters fighting.
Yeah.
That's all you do. Don't give me this
Not
in an
mention-
arena,
shit, dude.
Not to
arena.
mention there.
Cool,
there,
there's
there
arenas
aren't-
in Street Fighter 2, buddy. Like that's
Yeah.
the stupidest
What was the biggest game
argument
at
I've heard.
Evo?
All right, I think I've just created the war cry for this episode.
Hey,
already.
that's a good transition.
We're not going
guys.
to talk about why Smash is a fighting game. Dude.
Yeah.
I will not waste
Yeah.
the viewers' time.
But let's transition into that for the final segment for the war cry. It kind of leans into it, but how?
I'm glad I like stirring the pot.
Yeah, there you go.
So for the war cry, how important is game difficulty? Do you feel that a game needs to provide a sufficient challenge to feel rewarding? Should developers always offer ways to adjust game difficulty? And let's go with John.
I think if I may adjust the wording a little bit here, because it depends on like how you adjust the difficulty. It's one thing to just have the enemies deal more damage to you.
Yes. Yep.
And then say, oh, this is the harder mode. Where another game like the original Ninja Gaiden and its sequels on the Xbox, where it would actually adjust the AI accordingly. I think that is a better adjustment of gamer difficulty. So it's important in that if you adjust it correctly, I think it's really good to keep people coming back to play your game. But if you're lazy with adjusting your difficulty by just making the enemies damage more, then your game difficulty really isn't that important at all. So my answer is yes, but it's important. It's super important, but it depends on how you adjust the game difficulty.
Like Resident Evil, say, with just less ammo. Like you get less ammo, you got to be more conservative.
Right. Less ammo, no ink ribbons, stuff like that. So
another example I'll just throw out.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Another example of like how it's adjusting, not just like damage scaling. I call that Crisis in an earlier podcast. If you set that to the ultimate difficulty, the enemies actually speak Korean versus every other difficulty they speak English.
Interesting.
Oh, so you want to understand what they're saying?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very
Well,
interesting
unless you're Korean.
Well, I like that. That's
yeah.
pretty
So
cool.
it's like another interesting way to implement difficulty.
Dang. Well, what about Darren there? I think I have a feeling. We've talked about this in length in the past, but.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to hear what Brandon has to say, but I'll see if we're on the same page. So my thing is, I think the go-to answer, I feel like no one can really argue against this, so this is what's going to probably spark some things. Just give players the options, all right? So, like, Breath of the Wild, one of the things that a lot of people didn't like, and I know it's been brought up before time after time again, is but your weapons breaking and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Why not just have like a casual mode? I mean, Fire Emblem does it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of games that do it. They give players an option to just be like, or to make it easy. Or Skyrim, you have a difficulty bar. Like, don't lock the game into you can only play in this difficulty, because I think the more options you have, the better. Like, and if you want to give a bone to some people, like on PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, you give them an achievement for beating it on an extra difficulty. But don't lock stuff behind higher difficulties. Like, don't lock like an extra cutscene. I don't think that's really cool. I mean, yeah, we live in the day and age where you can just like go to YouTube and watch it. But I don't like when it's just, this is the only difficulty. This is how we intended the game to be played. I think just giving players more options. Because like my wife, she tried playing Breath of the Wild, And for her, it was too hard, so she just quit. She gave up on it. Now she doesn't want to play any Zelda game, and I'm like, great, because I swear I thought there was a casual mode, but there isn't. So yeah,
the base game is a casual mode.
yeah, you can do hard mode from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I know, but yeah, that's how I feel about it.
So the reason I frame this question, and I think it's very timely, is because of the game that won Game of the Year. And I think this discussion has been brought up throughout the year as it relates to Sekiro and From Software games. And it's really interesting for me because while I agree, I think there's a lot of games that do accessibility and difficulty scaling well. Celeste is another example I'll shout out. It's a very difficult game, but there's assist modes and you can change timing and give yourself more jumps, and you can beat that game really easily if you want to adjust the sliders and adjust gravity and all these different examples. Things. So I give them a lot of credit for games that do that. But I think, and this is a very personal take here, I like games to give me a little bit of challenge. And I think the other question I was going to ask you guys, like if you have an option, like what difficulty would you play on? If you have easy, normal, hard, like do you start on normal, do you start on easy, or do you start on hard? Or does it matter on the game?
Depends on the game.
Yeah, I figured that was the answer. But for me, I'm typically in that normal area, and the reason I'll typically do kind of like a normal difficulty is creator's intent is really important to me. So Sekiro, the reason I want to talk about Sekiro is because the intent of From Software is to push back on the player and require that the player learn the mechanics to master the game. That is what the game is designed to do. Yes, if there was, I think having an easy mode in a From Software style game would defeat the purpose of the From Software gameplay. Because if you could cheese through the entire game and just like every weapon does 1,000 damage, you can just beat the game in 5 minutes, that game wouldn't be fun. That's my personal take. I think
it defeats the purpose of the game.
Right. I think Sekiro and Dark Souls, those games are challenging because they push the player to get good at the mechanics. And so there are a lot of games like that where I want the game to push me. I want to have a level of challenge. Now, I think there are some games that are like frustratingly difficult. And so I think we were talking about it earlier where games that just like if you put it on hard mode, the enemies do 3,000 times damage. Like to me, that's not a fair level of scaling. But again, relating it back to the creator's intent. And that's typically why I do normal mode, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the creators intended for this game to be played on normal mode because that's how they balanced it. And hard mode from there typically is an artificial scaling that goes outside of what the creators originally intended and tries to add levels of difficulty that could potentially be frustrating and then not feel fair. But with Sekiro, I always felt like this game is hard as shit, but the mechanics are so well balanced that if you just continue learning, you can count, and this is what's great about From Software games, I can pick up Dark Souls 1 and I could probably play through that game twice as fast than I could have the first time I played it. Because I know the mechanics and I know how the combat works.
There's an invisible personal growth behind the mechanics to where like there's no XP system because you are the XP system.
Right.
Once you learn it in here,
I get it.
All the patterns and everything, that's it. Yeah.
I get it, but you got to think like I don't really see an issue with giving players options. Like let's say you're playing on normal and the game is too hard and you can't beat it. You're not having fun anymore. You're about to just quit, but there's no easier mode. You're just
So that's my counter argument, though. If there was an easier mode and you can kind of cop out to From Software style gameplay, I don't think the end experience would be fun. I think if you played that game, you're like, oh, this is fucking frustrating. I'm gonna just do it on easy mode, and then you beat that game. I don't think that game would win Game of the Year because the satisfaction that you get from mastering mechanics is the entire reason they designed that game, or a big part of it at least. They're trying to get players to learn the mechanics and learn the skills. So I understand the argument that like, hey, I'm frustrated, I just want to beat the game. I think the creators and Miyazaki and all the people that make From Software games are very intent on, if we make this easier and let you just cheese these bosses, you're not going to enjoy our game. And like maybe you're going to get less frustrated, but you're not going to come away saying, "Wow."
What about Nintendo games? I know those are a lot more basic, but like when you die like 10 times in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze or whatever, like a little what you can like. I forgot
Like
what
the
it is.
super,
But it's like
yeah, the
golden
super
balloon or
and,
whatever.
like you can fly.
Like,
Yeah,
don't you think? I mean, those games are designed for, I think, kids
For
in mind.
kids,
So like
though,
when you have like
yeah.
a 5-year-old playing, like it works. But I just think having the options available, because like for me, I'm not gonna just jump straight to easy mode. Like I'm gonna play through normal as the best I can, but like I think just having it as an option, because ultimately it's just a personal choice. Like you don't have to go to easy mode. Like
Sure.
I mean, I don't
No,
know.
and I think that's a fair counterpoint. But again, my argument stands. Like if you're playing a Mario game and they're like, "Hey, you're dying a lot. What you want to just like speed through this level?" I personally don't think I would enjoy the rest of that level just having it played for me. I
Yeah, I
know-
It's
wouldn't
a-
either.
It's a slap
Yeah,
in the face.
I wouldn't
Right,
either.
Yeah.
So you're dying a lot there.
Yeah.
Would you like? I
And-
hate that so much in games. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, we're sticking to this difficulty.
Yeah, Nintendo
And that-
actually-
The game's,
That's
the
a
game's
personal
calling you
thing, too.
stupid.
Again, it's really, I think that the distinction becomes there are people that play games that want to overcome challenges, and there are people that play games to just experience the world and experience the story. And I think
Yeah.
both opinions are valid. I am more on the mastery of gameplay side of that spectrum versus I just want to like let things happen. Because to me, it's
Fair
a
enough.
sense of accomplishment when I actually beat a game that I know I've mastered the skills.
I'm kind of in
Yeah,
the middle
fair
for
enough.
that because I think you both have really good points. Like, yeah, I'm probably if I'm having to lean to one side, it'd be more on the mastery side but I will hard quit a game that I would think is like way too difficult. I'd probably be more like Sai. If it's just ridiculous, crazy, and I'm not having fun, I'll just quit it. But at the same time, those games that I've stuck through, like you do feel like a super big like sense of enjoyment, like reward, like, hey,
Yeah.
man, I beat this, I've done this, I went through the struggles, I did it. Like you said, you improved your skills and mechanics. But I think what Darren's saying as well, for some of these games, like it's a good idea, throw that little star at the end of somebody's save file, or pop up an achievement on PlayStation or anything like that, just to show, hey, this person has completed it on this thing, give them some sort of like, you still kind of get the sense of reward. But then what you said about, like, say, a game of the year, like maybe it wouldn't have gotten game of the year. That does kind of make sense. Like if everybody's able to complete this game with relative ease, if they throw it on to normal, would that detract from this game's, if not nomination, then the fact that it would win? Because I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I haven't played that game specifically.
I think it would. I think it's such a distinct part of the game direction for From Software that I think that's the appeal for a lot of people, is this sense of mastery over the gameplay.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's a good discussion.
War cry, dude.
Yeah,
It's a war
man.
cry.
Well, unless you guys have any other
Yeah.
thoughts, we can close this out. Anything to
Smash
add?
Brothers isn't a real fighting game.
Oh,
John. Don't even
Just like
want-
remove him from the.
Yeah, I think
can I, like,
you're
edit
just
this
trying to be
out?
a troll at this point. I don't think
just,
you
I'm
actually
sorry.
believe
I'm
that.
sorry. No. It's
Yeah.
not. I joke. It's a
Yeah.
legitimate fighting game with a lot of professional players.
Yeah. I mean, the mechanics
I don't
of
believe
Smash
you.
Brothers,
I don't
if you
believe it.
actually like analyze, like, have you seen
No, I got
Melee
you.
high level
I
play?
got
Dude,
you.
it's
I got you.
insane, dude.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm just being a troll.
John likes to
I'm
poke
just
the
being a
bear, dude.
yeah, man.
troll. That's right. No. It's okay. It's a cool fighting game. I like it. So.
All right, guys. Well, that is it. Thank you all for joining us for this podcast. If you're new here, consider subscribing to continue listening to all our content. Again, we're live on the following podcast platforms. If you're unaware, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn plus Alexa, and we're pending for iHeartRadio. Man, this is awesome.
Woo.
Like seeing those
All over.
little numbers go up. We got people from all over the world. Sydney,
Thank you for
Australia,
listening.
Sri
Germany?
Lanka, Germany.
Everywhere, dude. We're
Yeah,
international.
Yeah, man. It's pretty cool. But thank you guys for joining us, and take care. We'll see you.
See ya.
Take it easy.
There.